Myofunctional therapy was created over a century ago. But what if it was created in the last year? Do you think we'd have the same education, pricing models, scope of practice? Spoiler alert, we likely wouldn't. But that's okay because today I am going to be giving you the 2026 roadmap of where we are actually going and growing. Hi, my Myo best friends. I'm Carice Laguerre. If you are new here, I'm here on a regular basis, relatively, to give you all of the latest and greatest in myofunctional therapy because we don't have standards of excellence, to be frank and to be really, really fair. And in 2026, I'm hoping a lot of that changes. And you can be a part of allowing it to change by just keeping this going. So, whether you're watching me on LinkedIn or on YouTube, make sure you're connecting with me on LinkedIn or you're subscribing and hitting that notification button and sharing all of this knowledge with your friends. We don't gatekeep, okay? That gatekeeping ended in 2025. We've got over 70 hours here of information that is going to up level you and how you practice. And so it's important that we get the word out because we're not going to be able to impact all the lives that we want to. Personally, as individuals, you can only help but so many people. You only have but so much free time, and you only have but so much clinical time. We got to spread the word. We just got to do better. We can do better. We can be greater. We can move forward in a more positive way. So, with that being said, let me just let you know that it is quite the year that we have had so far. There's so much that's been going on that I feel has impacted this field in such a positive way, but then so much more that it's been negative. And it's almost to the point where I'm about to have a little rant, y'all. Like before we even get into 2026, you guys know me well. You know it's going to be a little rant, okay? So here we go. All right. In 2026, I want to move on from all of the nonsense with us hero worshiping any of the doctors that are out there. We have phenomenal doctors in this field who do wonderful lectures and who talk on amazing topics, but they are not the end all be all. They are not the first person who has ever become a doctor. They are not the first person to ever dip into airway. Like I said, myofunctional therapy is over a century old. And if you really go back in the research and you really start looking at Edward Engel and all of the stuff that he was looking into, like ortho started out very aesthetic focused. It started out, how do we shape the face appropriately? I think people were thinking of facial function and so forth long ago. And then we somewhere lost our way. But I don't think that we need to be having like these gurus in the field. The field's not big enough for us to have a guru. There's nobody out there that I feel like is just so exceptional and knows so much more than everyone else. There are a lot of people doing a lot of wonderful things, but I don't want to hear about them as if they're like the only person who has ever studied this topic. It is absolutely ridiculous. So in 2026, let's move forward and start to really push for deeper advances by promoting new voices and new things that we would like to have explored. We really don't have the thought leadership that we need to have in this field. It is a large echo chamber. And so anybody that you're hero worshiping should probably be somebody who's fighting against the machine and not really going with the flow, because that just doesn't make sense. So let's start in 2026 establishing thought leadership or promoting thought leadership. What on earth are we doing? Why is it that we don't have people who are saying things that are controversial? Now, you might think, oh, they're saying everything that's controversial as far as it's concerned or related to traditional dentistry, traditional medicine. But hello, that's our whole field. Like we're all doing the same thing that a lot of alternative or holistic health providers are saying, that there are root cause solutions. So that's not thought leadership. Thought leadership are the things that come out like when I take pride in saying that myofunctional therapy is not evidence based. It is a bunch of nonsense, pseudoscience, but let me tell you that it's my sole income. And here's what I've seen, and here's why it works, and here's how I can rationalize what it is that I'm finding. Will you find research to support that? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But does it logically make sense? Yes. This is why I'm not hungry. Okay. I'm not hungry. My children aren't hungry. We keep a roof over our heads. I practice in person in 2 states. Like, it just doesn't make sense that there's not more people saying things that really should help push us forward in a more positive way instead of like perpetuating the same nonsense that we just keep feeding each other over and over. This is not an evidence based field. It's a bunch of nonsense. It has no right being in anybody's scope of practice because there's not enough evidence to back it up. And there's not enough schooling or education on it, mostly because there's not enough of the evidence to back it up. There's no standards, there's no procedures. Like, what are you guys even fighting for? It's wild. So, 2026, let's move on. And my most important, like, in 2026 is that we need to stop giving ignorance a platform. Okay. Now, I am not going into like any sort of politics or whatever when I say that. What I'm saying is that there are always going to be people who spread misinformation. There are going to be people who have degrees who are ignorant. Totally fair. You can be very smart in one way, you can be very educated in one way, you could be very much eligible for passing a test and passing a class and then immediately dumping all that information out of your mouth, out of your head afterwards. We're not going to be giving any sort of ignorant statements about who should be practicing what, who's capable of what, who's practicing outside of their scope. Like, don't promote those posts by responding to them. If you just let the people talk, they will eventually realize they have nobody to talk to and they will stop talking. And that's what we want. I want them to stop talking. I will not give ignorance a platform. I will not be responding to anybody's anything on any social media platform telling me or anybody else that they can't be doing myofunctional therapy. Like, go check yourself. We're not giving ignorance a platform in 2026 and beyond. With that being said, I'm going to step out of my rant and give you guys what you're here for, okay? In 2026, there are going to be some shifts in education. And the shifts in education, I think, here's a bit of thought leadership for you. I think are going to come in the most unexpected ways. Now, I've been saying for the longest time that y'all need to stop telling people online that they should take this course or that course or that course. I am so happy and so grateful when somebody says that somebody should take my course, but I don't know them. I don't know if my course would really be right for them. And more often than not, when I talk to people, I always give them multiple courses. I'm like, you know what? This one might be good for you. Here's why. This one might be good for you. Here's why. Or maybe mine might be good, or maybe mine isn't good. Like, I'm giving multiple things based on who they are. And so that is something that absolutely needs to stop. And I've been saying that for 3 years now. And it's documented all online with over 70 hours here of all this stuff. But where I think the real shift in education needs to come, and I want you to step closer, okay? Because I need you to hear this. I don't want to have to say it louder for people in the back. If you're in the back, come closer, okay? From forever to 2025, you guys have been diving into every single webinar. You've been spending all of your time and your efforts and your money on podcasts on Airway, memberships for Airway, conferences that are Airway. And you've been investing in a lot of meaningless certifications to try to justify that you're in this field and to make you feel worthy. Because we are licensed professionals, we feel like if we didn't go through whatever that trauma was of hygiene school and speech and pathology, going down that speech master's program, if we didn't go through that same sort of trauma and that same sort of rigorous nightmare to get to where we are today, it almost doesn't feel worth it. So if we take a CE course and we learn myofunctional therapy and we're like, okay, we need something to validate us, you just keep reinforcing the same message again and again and again. So listen closely, okay? You don't know what's good for you. You're filling up your entire mind with airway. And I'm going to say this once, I'm not going to say it again. No one cares. No one cares as much as you do about airway. I don't even care as much as you do about airway. I care about people. I care about outcomes. I care about results. I price my program as such. Like I have one fee programs. I will work with people until we get to the results. That's how committed I am to results. So trust and believe I don't care about airway and I'm in your world. I'm full time doing this. I travel doing this. Yes, spending money on flights and rentals and so forth. Yes. Okay. I'm with you. It's important, but nobody cares. What really matters is that you're able to impact as many people as possible. And the only way that you're going to be able to do that is if you make a true shift in education. We are in the information age. I know it might seem like we're in the entertainment age because everybody's scrolling and you get your quick few seconds of content and you're enjoying and we are being entertained by everything we see on the internet. But trust me, there's so much information that you are not seeking out that you likely should because it's going to help you grow in a meaningful way. Most people who are doing myofunctional therapy are doing it either with a dental practice or doing it independently within their own speech practice or their own myofunctional therapy focused practice. Okay. If you're doing it like that, you have a business and it is absolutely a detriment to all of the people you work with if you don't work on that business. You learning all of the things that there are to learn in a podcast from whatever guest is on that day, that's not going to pay you more. You won't be able to speak any clearly on that topic because it's not your topic. You heard the highlights of it on a podcast. So you got about an hour of what that person probably spent weeks, months, however long, trying to learn and master that information so that they can digest it for you and regurgitate it as actionable or information that you can easily accept in a podcast format. If you have a business, you need to be focused on how you grow that business. If you need to learn more about talking points for Myo, there's a lot of content out there. There's hours just here on YouTube about that alone. How do you speak about it? How do you get around some of the misinformation about it? How do you speak to the points that are really going to resonate with people so that you can get started with more cases? But what if you're struggling with marketing? What if you really need help with social media? I can't tell you how many people there are out there with really high quality channels that are speaking to social media. Now, you don't have to invest, please do if you can, but you don't have to invest money in getting a VA or hiring a marketing agency that will do your social media posts for you. You can just learn what's the most effective way for you to market based on your interests, your strengths, and then what's the content schedule? How can you pre-plan this? How can you use AI to help you? How can you get your graphic design to be leveled up? How can you interpret some of the noise that is on the internet and put it into a way that your general population would be able to understand that speaks to the demographic that you serve? What if you're looking for better software and you're like, I really need to change my software? It's taking me too long to write a report. Maybe I need an AI agent to write my report, or I need to research software and then I need to see if we can test that software in a way that's not going to take up too much of my time. AI agents, like, what are you doing? Why are you listening to somebody talking about forward head posture, or you're attending some webinar somewhere on all this stuff? It's great, but you understand enough concepts of it that you're going to be able to speak to it. And if you don't, there's a lot of great ways to take in that information, but you don't have to listen to absolutely every single airway thing. You don't have to attend every single airway thing. What you do need to do is learn how to grow and how to grow appropriately. And so, with that, like focus on where you're stuck so that you can get past that and you can serve more people. You can make more money. When you make more money, it's not just about, going on trips or whatever. If that's what you want, yay. But when you're able to make more money, you're able to then decide what you want to do with that. Do you want to reinvest? Do you want to give that money into maybe some free cases? Do you want to help to support the future of this field, profession, whatever we want to call it? Like, what are you going to do? You would have autonomy to do so. You wouldn't be worried about when the next case is coming or how to keep things on a streamline. So, I think education in 2026 is starting to lean more towards, mostly because I see a lot of these webinars. Like, even if I do hop on one, I see a lot of the attendance is tripling down. So there's not as many people that are on as were on before. And I'm really excited about that because there are people doing aspirational things who can start up a Instagram account tomorrow and would have 1 million followers in a month. And why aren't you learning from them? Why do you have the same less than 100 followers or less than 1,000 followers or less than 100,000 followers? Like, why not learn from them if that's where you would like to source your business from? If what you're doing right now is working, can you imagine if it was 10x what you would be able to accomplish? So much. So get focused, laser focused on where you're lacking. What do you have to bridge in that gap between where you are and where you want to be? And how can you do that in the smartest way possible? Okay. 2026, scope. I can't tell you how often I talk about scope. It is really sad that there are 3 people who don't know each other. And if any of you are listening, you realize that I'm referencing you as one of the people, but then you don't realize that there were 2 other people just this week alone. And it's only Thursday. Just this week alone that have reached out to me about scope of practice and issues that they're having, or somebody said such and such, or I think that the scope of practice laws should be found, like where are they? Or somebody reached out to me, but I'm new and I don't know how to tell them that the scope of practice things, like I don't know, so can I send them your way? Like, okay, guys, I don't like repeating myself. I really don't like repeating myself. So I will tell you that there are deep dives that you can take into scope of practice, okay, that will help you get a better perspective on it. But there is no scope of practice for myofunctional therapy. It is not a thing. Myofunctional therapy is not a thing. Whatever you have to do to settle in and accept that, please do. There is the first scope of practice video that I did that's called Be Smart or Be Smart or Be Smart or Be Silent, which was really me very overtly saying that if you don't have anything intelligent to say about this topic, don't talk about it. And that's for all of those very loud people who are very open with their ignorance, and it irritates me to no end. But then the next one became the state of the field because then we still had issues where people were like, oh, but New York, nothing happened in New York. Literally nothing happened in New York. There is no scope of practice for myofunctional therapy. It does not exist in 50 dental state practice acts. It is not something that you should be doing as a part of any sort of licensure. And if somebody would like to argue that in 4 states now, there is orofacial myofunctional disorders, and that's all that's listed. It's not myofunctional therapy. It's not orofacial myology. It's not whatever you want to call it today. Orofacial myofunctional disorders are listed within the scope of practice in 4 states' Speech and Audiology Practice Act. Well, then that means that speech therapists in all the other states in the 46 that don't have that listed are illegally practicing too, then, doesn't it? Hmm. Wait, that, what? That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, 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 yeah. No, it's just not a thing. Stop talking about scope, okay? Let's look at how many people really care about this field, okay? So I went to Google Trends, and if you've never been, trends.google.com. If you want to know how keywords are performing, like if you're writing blogs still, or you're doing hashtags, or you're whatever, you want to see what the search is like. You could always do like a myofunctional therapy near me, or you can do myo near Indianapolis to see who's searching for it, how frequently it's being searched, what's the interest. So I went 5 years back, okay? And I just need you to know the difference between oral facial myology and myofunctional therapy. There is an organization that's been around for, it's 70 years now or something like that, that has been pushing forward oral facial myology. Can I tell you that there's still no increase in interest in that term whatsoever? That's problematic that you can be around for 70 years and it's not a thing. That's a problem, okay? But secondarily, myofunctional therapy has only increased in interest over the past 5 years, and it will continue to increase in interest. And so, the more that the public is becoming aware of it, the less you need to worry about whether or not it's going to be a thing and certifications and yada yada. Here's why. I want you to take a look at this comparison now. Okay. Myofunctional therapy is nothing in the grand scheme of people who do searches and ask for help or ask for a lot of different things and do these comparisons on trends. This is the 5 year trend for myofunctional therapy as the red line on the bottom of the graph. Sound therapy, the people who do the sound and the energy waves, and they sit and they have you lying down and you're getting a sound bath and whatever. And I'm all about all kinds of like hippie stuff. I am your biggest hippie, okay? I will forever be your biggest hippie. And that's only marginally more interesting and hitting more than Myo. There is no certification, or there might be certifications, but there is no like regulation, I should say, around sound therapy. Same for personal training. There's zero regulation around personal training. It is the most like myofunctional therapy in that there are multiple institutions that offer certifications and some that claim that they're better than others. But really, what difference do you know? You see somebody who you want to work with and you just work with them. They don't even have to be certified. They might just have been able to fix their life enough that they're able to give others advice and call themselves a personal trainer. Same thing with Myo. No regulations. Anybody can be a myofunctional therapist. Like, fight with your family, don't fight with me. I'm just the messenger telling you the reality of it. It's not a thing. So, with that, nobody's out here hooting and hollering about personal trainers and what's their scope of practice and are you certified and I'm only going to pay somebody who's certified. Nobody cares. And significantly more of the population cares more about personal training than remotely have any desire or interest in myofunctional therapy. So, with the biggest and loudest air horn, I want to tell you that nobody cares about myo and airway. I need you to look at things differently and really shift your perspective on scope. It's just literally not a thing. Watch the other lectures and you'll understand more of why it's not. But it doesn't need to be something that's really resonating with you as like, I really need this to be resolved, or I need my state dental board to get involved, or I need this, that, and the other. And I need in 2026 people who teach courses to do better. I'm tired of people who have graduated other courses, and specifically, there are two that I know of where they're not giving them any information on scope of practice. If somebody is, you are paying somebody nearly $3,000 or sometimes over $3,000 and they don't tell you about scope of practice, you're doing something wrong. You're doing something wrong. I'm more than happy to talk to people about it, and I keep dedicating my free time to talking about it. But I'm telling you, in 2026, start telling your friends if they don't learn about scope of practice, they need to keep all their coins. Okay. Pricing. This is the biggest shift, and I'm really excited about it. And I will be implementing it for sure in my practice. And I know another couple of businesses and small businesses, and I really encourage everybody to join a chamber of commerce because you will learn a lot there. Okay. But when you join, I want you to understand, and you're talking to people, that there's pricing and payment and concerns on all ends of the spectrum for lots of people. We're in a difficult economy, but closed mouths don't get fed. So if I don't know that you have a problem, I'm not going to offer you a solution for something that I don't know is a problem, and I will never assume that it will be a problem. There are people who have written checks or just paid out full fees, and they don't care at all what I charge because my fee means nothing to them. They make more money an hour than whatever my fee is, or yada yada. It's wonderful sometimes. But there are people who really do need the help, who can't afford it, who might be going without certain things because they want to get the help and they don't feel like there is an alternative. But don't be shy. I think there's a lot of providers who would be open to what I'm suggesting and what I know is starting to happen in certain industries where I live, in both places where I live, South Florida and in New Jersey, central New Jersey. Um, that it is going to be a bigger thing. Okay. I think there's going to be more offers for more deals in 2026. Now, here's what I mean. Okay. I live in South Florida where I have a house and we've got a white roof. Nothing irritates me more than the fact that our roof is white, mostly because it never stays white. And we live in an HOA community, as do most people in South Florida. But we live in an HOA community that wants our roof to be white. And when it's not white, they leave us a notice. We see that your roof is not white. Can you please clean it, or we're going to issue this fine? Okay, great. I'll get it cleaned. But every time I get it clean, it's hundreds of dollars. And that's annoying. And there are people who have businesses that specifically just do that one thing. They go and they do the power washing of roofs or driveways or sidewalks, because all of that is a part of the HOA concerns as well. So they do all of that. Now, let's say they themselves need myofunctional therapy, or their child needs myofunctional therapy, but business has been kind of slow, and they haven't had the opportunity to really make the money or save enough for it. If they were to approach me, let's say the person who owns this power washing business approaches me and we have a consultation. My consults are always free. And they say, hey, thank you for sharing your fees with me and your program. I'm really interested in moving forward. Here's my thing, is that I'm having trouble financially being able to do this, but my child needs the help. I'm not asking you to give me anything for free. What I'm saying is that I own a business and I do power washing, and I would be more than happy to extend to you, 4 power washes a year for the next 2 years if we can work something out. You know what I would say to that? You got it. Like, evaluation is on me, programs probably on me. Like, by the time I get those 8 power washes, we're more than equaled out. Like, thank you, sweet baby Jesus. Okay. And now you get to write off some services and I get to write off some services as like charity work or whatever. And everybody wins. I have my power washing done on my roof and my sidewalk and walkway and driveway or whatever, and they're able to get the services that they need, and nobody has to worry about, oh my gosh, what's going to happen in my budget and this, that, and the other thing. And I think that that's really the future, is that we'll start doing a little bit more strategic dealings in order for pricing to work for everybody, because we all have value. We all have things that we can exchange. There's so many things I would give Mayo for. It's like, absolutely, I will do your Mayo if you will, exchange for me wherever. Like, you work at such and such, and I'll be able to get, a certain amount of credits, or you'll do. Oh, I've had some people who were so grateful for things, and they would give me Publix, which is a supermarket in the southeast, but they would give me Publix gift cards, and I'm like, oh, okay, don't worry. I'm going to be able to exchange this for, don't worry about your payment next month or whatever. And it's like, no, 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 that was a gift. No, no, I've already canceled your invoice. Like, we're doing a wonderful exchange. So it doesn't work for everybody. And I don't think that it's going to be a thing for everybody, but I think that the shifts in the way that I'm hearing about them, it's definitely going to be a thing. And I'm excited about that. Okay. Behavioral shifts in 2026. This is our final shift, by the way. Behavioral shifts in 2026. Right now, habit elimination programs, for the most part, off the top of my head, I can quickly think of several programs that people might run that they would consider to be habit elimination. And oftentimes, habit elimination within Myo, like in our realm of discussion, it's done before myofunctional therapy, and a lot of times, because you can't have this habit obstructing your work area. Or sometimes it's done as a separate program without any myofunctional therapy. Here's where I think the real shift is coming, or should come, in 2026. Habit elimination without myofunctional therapy is wrong. It's just flat out wrong. And the same thing, I'm going to have my next video is really going to be about tongue ties and how that's a whole scam. And I don't appreciate the system anymore. And tongue tie release without myofunctional therapy, even in just doing myo pre and post and then sending them off, it's just wrong. But I'll save that for next time. That was your sneak peek. Without myofunctional therapy, doing habit elimination is just like putting in a habit appliance. We don't like these. We're like, why are they putting in appliances? These appliances just stop them from doing the habit, but it doesn't teach them what to do. And so you wind up with something different. I had a friend, not even a friend, a family member who's also a friend, I guess, too, but a family member whose child sucked the thumb. We tried, they put very little effort in, but we tried to do habit elimination. And they were like, you know what, it's just easier. Our dentist said they're putting an appliance. And so we just paid for the appliance. We're just going to get the appliance because I don't know how to keep her doing these exercises. Okay, that's fine. Let them do the appliance. And I knew this was going to go so bad because I just really don't like habit appliances. I got the call once the appliance was out that, oh, there's new habits. So the thumb that was being sucked before is no longer being sucked because, yay, tongue crib worked. But the tongue has no idea where to be. So there's a bigger gap in the teeth in the front with an open bite. That's lovely. But on top of that, what the child found as an alternative was chewing on skin. And so it was very obvious that they were chewing on the skin of their fingers. And that was just kind of stimulating in that same way for them because they couldn't get the thumb in. So they just picked a new habit. They had no idea what the proper thing to do is. But then when this became too obvious and this was limited from them, they started chewing on the skin of their feet. And it's becoming really bad. And they were like, I think we need myofunctional therapy. Well, I think a year ago when we tried was probably when you needed myofunctional therapy. Now we need like collaborative care. But the myofunctional therapy, you know, even in the habit elimination programs, a lot of times we're doing positive replacement. So we're giving them something without necessarily a full program that leads to proper oral resting posture that teaches them what they should be doing with their tongue and their oral rest posture and leads them to that autonomic nervous system regulation that they can self stimulate without having to replace with another habit. So, wouldn't it be right if in 2026 and beyond, we collectively said, hey, we're not doing habit elimination programs anymore. We're doing myofunctional therapy. And a part of that is habit elimination. That's kind of how my program works for tongue tie and habit elimination too. I don't have a separate fee or a separate program. It's a part of the myofunctional therapy because what do you mean you want me to just eliminate your habit? You can go anywhere on the internet and get somebody to eliminate your habit. I'm going to teach you where everything should be so that we can now go forward in perpetuity with positive habits instead of just having, this, okay, we're going to put a sock on your hand, or we're going to tape a ruler there, or we're going to, have a sticker chart, and we're going to do the Mavala stop, the nail polish, or whatever. Like, we're not doing any of that. Habit elimination, it's a part of Myo. So it should just be in the Myo program, 2026 and beyond. Is that unreasonable? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. But I think that's where we're going. We're going there in the future. In 2026, it's really about advocating better for our patients. One, by being able to educate ourselves in a way that we demonstrate we are absolutely able and capable of running a business and running a business successfully, running a business to the point where we can continue to not only offer treatment, but to scale so that we can offer more treatment, better treatment, bring on associates, and do more. It's going to be about advocating for better as far as ignoring all of the noise that's out there. Who cares what ignorance is trying to amplify itself? The less we amplify it, the less we acknowledge it, the less we fight with people on the internet, the more we can showcase our own intelligence instead of promoting their ignorance. Myo's not a thing, but here's what it is. This is what I can offer you. This is how we can help you. Habit elimination will not be a thing that we are isolating. And pricing doesn't have to be complex. It could be something that is to scale proportionally for what your own personal needs are as a provider or what your patient's needs are. I think I neglected to say in there with that whole pricing thing is that oftentimes I'll do a sibling discount, but if you don't ask me for a sibling discount, I'm not going to tell you that there's a sibling discount, and I'm not just offering out discounts. At the end of the day, I'm running a business. Like, if you need one, you will ask me for a discount. If you don't need one, you probably aren't asking. And so you're okay with whatever the fee is and paying that per child. And so that is, I think something really important. We need to advocate and let those know who need to know that there is an alternative. In 2026, we're going to be doing better collectively. Okay. So let's all educate ourselves on all the things that matter and stop pushing airway like down everybody's throat and all the time and feeling like you have to attend every webinar, you have to attend every conference, or you have to do this, that, or the next. You don't. You don't have to. Prioritize your time for the things that will grow your business and grow your ability to impact as many people as possible. Don't let misinformation confuse you or anybody else. Don't acknowledge it. It'll go away. Okay, scope of practice is not a thing. Enable pricing models that work for you. You don't have to do the bartering. That's just something that I feel is really going to work for me. And as far as my Chamber of Commerce is concerned, I'm really happy to be getting some of the services that I know I will be getting now in exchange for providing my own services to others. And let's complete the care that our clients really need and stop isolating things. Like, we're going to talk about it next time, but the whole tongue tie thing, it's a scam. I'm tired of it. I'm over it. We're not going to do that anymore. And we are going to, eliminate the whole habit during our myofunctional therapy program and not as some separate entity that I feel like, has to be isolated so that people will say yes. Mm-mm. Those aren't the people who are designed to work with me if that's the case. Yeah. With that, I am so happy that so many of you joined me today live. A lot of you are very quiet. I appreciate those of you who said hi. Hey, friends. If you have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. Okay. I love that the bartering is a thing. Okay. Oh, I love this, Sherry. Would I do a contract for the bartering? If so, how? I likely would not do a contract for the bartering. Here's why. I would just offer it as gratis services, and then I would take whatever their contract is for their services. Like, let's say for that same example, for getting my roof um, power wash, that's what it's called, for getting my roof power washed. If they're going to power wash my roof and they have a contract for doing so, they would just zero out their costs, and I'm going to sign their contract and I'm going to get my services for however long they're promising the services. And then my contract, my treatment plan and contract would just have that $0 and da 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 da, and then they would just sign my contract too. That way, the two of us are zeroed out, and you can do whatever you need to do for that. This is not tax advice, but I would say I would do it that way. That way, I would be able to get my reimbursement. Like, I can claim my whole bartering thing as a um, write off for my taxes. Yeah. So, yay. All right, guys. I appreciate you so much for being here. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a good one and happy holidays.